Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. In honor of the open mic that I used to always go to that was hosted by Tom Woodruff on the first Wednesdays of every month, Community Poetry, where he would have tons of glasses around that I would sit and put on and comically wear for him. I thought in honor of that I would read at this time. This is not community poetry. This is not Tom's event, but in honor of the fact that I religiously went to this open mic with him, and in pandemic times it's not going on right now, I thought I would read material from current books like I often did every month at his open mic. In the world of many, many glasses here, I've got 8 glasses on. I thought I would read select poems from the brand new cc&d book that was released on November 1st of 2020. This is called What He's Trying to Paint. What He's Trying to Paint. And that's all titles of magazines that are turned into books are from accepted titles within the stories. And so when I had one of the pieces called What He's Trying to Paint, and it was actually about Van Gogh's Starry Night, which is on the back cover, I thought I would work on a collage of pieces to look like an art gallery space. And if you wanted to know anything more about it, you could look at Scars.tv and go to cc&d magazine or Scars.tv/ccd. You can find What He's Trying to Paint on Amazon right now. And I thought I would read select poems from the end of the poetry section within this for you in the first reading. I hope you enjoy them. This first one is called Eternal Salvation in Hieroglyphics. It was written on the 4th of this month for King Tut Day, because that's actually the day that his tomb was discovered in 1922. So, this is called Eternal Salvation in Hieroglyphics. In their desire to live forever, their ancient Egyptian tombs were preciously decorated with instructions to battle the obstacles after shedding their mortal coil before they'd have eternal life. Gemstone amulets protected their mummified corpses unless raiders came to rob their tomb and destroy eternal salvation. So it is a miracle that more than pottery shards are found thousands of years later, because all humankind has their beliefs, their traditions to protect them from what they don't understand. So one king in one unlooted tomb found only 100 years ago reveals so much about their culture, about future cultures, and even our own culture. For it shows us how we cope with fears, but also how we fight them, so we can think that we have what we could never attain. Intriguing piece about different cultures, especially learning things about Egyptian. I think that's really kind of cool. I hope you appreciated that poem. That was from cc&d, What He's Trying to Paint. What He's Trying to Paint, what? Anyway, this next poem, I'm skipping a few here, and I am going to share with you this poem that is called Lost Cross. After you died, someone not closer to you than me gave me your cross. I kept it buried away because bringing it too close to me would be blasphemous. One day, out of the blue, I held it and I dropped it, and suddenly it vanished. I searched frantically for this cross, but just in an instant, it was forever lost. You died years ago, lifetimes ago, and it still stuns me now that your cross is lost. I thought that would be an appropriate piece to put in right after Thanksgiving, before the Christmas season, for a piece for you guys. I hope you appreciated that. I'm going to share with you one on the next page that is called Quenched Bloodlust, and it was written on the 20th of November. For the 1945 day the Nuremberg trial began. What? Interesting, you can find things about different topics when you look for things on different days in any given month. This is called Quenched Bloodlust. We have to treat this with respect. After the atrocities we have witnessed, after the slaughter of innocent millions, after they treated the countless masses as less than human, we must act humane. We know our bloodlust for revenge is not easily quenched, but when we see what those megalomaniacal morons did, the only way we can justify our hatred is to spell out why they are so wrong. I was only following orders, they cry, they chant, like they are preparing for that mob mentality, because it seems whenever people succumb to a mob, they do whatever they want and believe that they are not to blame. They're just following orders, but ask them point blank and they'll swear they're blameless. How can you blame someone swelled with emotion when swept in a furor? So, let us bring the details to their attention. Let's spell everything out for them. And let's show them their signatures on forms condoning this mass genocide. They can keep sunglasses on, but they have to see what they have done. In time, maybe they will realize the error of their ways. Or maybe they will prefer killing themselves to giving us the chance to fill our own bloodlust until we can learn to let our hatred die. All right. One, maybe two more for you guys for this edition of reading material from cc&d magazine this month, November 2020, What He's Trying to Paint. This first one, I've got a cat. Hello, kitten. I don't think this cat's going to want to sit with me while I'm reading. Would you like to read? No? Not interested? Not interested? You sure? Okay, well then you can go. She keeps walking by here. I figured I'd let you guys see her. This next piece is called Underground History. Oh, I know. I'm sorry I picked you up, cat. This is called Underground History. And it was written on the 30th of November for the 1866 date that work began on the first U.S. underwater highway tunnel in Chicago. When I first took the L train into Chicago to commute every morning, I would take the Red Line along Lake Michigan for work. But in most of my years, in the only place I could ever call my home, I was taking the train from O'Hare Airport, taking the Blue Line. On all those years I took that train, I always wondered why a small part of that train ride took me underground. But I didn't ask questions. I just took the train and never thought anything of it. I never thought of all the concrete lining our way underground. Johannes immigrated here, and later his father took over my grandfather's concrete construction company. When my father flew us to Las Vegas, we flew over the Hoover Dam. His only words were, "Look at all that concrete." But over 150 years ago, Chicago started work on their first underwater tunnel under the Chicago River, a tunnel with one lane for pedestrians and 2 lanes for horse-drawn carriages. Anyone who knows Chicago now may think this is ludicrous, but after the Chicago fire, people looked for, well, more stable forms of travel, and underground, the way away from fire, seemed the way to go. They reversed the Chicago River a decade later, which lowered the water level, exposing the roof of the tunnel, and ships ran aground. So the federal government had to close it down as a safeguard 6 years later. So to reconstruct, they changed it, added concrete, and after streetcars ran, it was converted to the subway, the underground parts of the L train, us Chicago commuters know. A lot of construction and reconstruction existed in the Chicago rail lines, and a lot of plans were canceled. But it's cool to see that this concrete that runs through my family's veins was a part of the making of those underground tunnels us Chicagoans use today. Some people may say that only rural folk are grounded in the dirt of the earth and feel their roots to this land that we live on. But I beg to differ, because some city folk like me can actually feel grounded with the concrete we pour that pulls us in and literally bonds us to this land, both above ground and even below, where we least expect it, to make our lives more complete. That was a fun one. That was. Sorry, at least for me. And back from my days from when I ran poetry open mics in Chicago, I would share something like that with my peeps in the hood, but I hope everybody appreciated that poem. I am going to share one more poem, and it is from the end of the poetry section, and it's actually from the Me Too section. Anything that is related to women's issues specifically would get into the Me Too section. It's just an extension of the poetry section. It's not in every issue, but when something is there, we share it. This is one poem in the Me Too section of the poetry section of the current issue of cc&d, which is the Perfect Bound ISBN number Amazon for sale book, What He's Trying to Paint. And this poem is called Extension of Him. And it was actually written on the 21st of November for the 1929 birthday of feminist writer Marilyn French. When I got married, I thought about my having to take my husband's last name and use it as my own, destroying my own history and now calling myself an extension of him. Well, I don't know if I really thought that. But after I almost lost my own life and still spent time trying to piece it together, who I was, I asked him, since the literary world knew me with my family name, the name of my father, born in 1929, if he was okay with me not changing my name. He was fine with it, of course, but looking back, it makes me think of the many ways women have to change who they are to be a supplicant to man. And of course, if we women want to have a career, that's fine, but many men still think that women should also cook and clean, and not only birth but also raise their kids. So much for us women feeling like we can do it all on our own when we're still expected to do more work for less pay and be happy for the opportunity in this patriarchal society. For the oppression of women is an underlying current in any male-dominated culture. Wait, who am I kidding? It's the underlying current in any culture. Let's not fool ourselves. Because I know that for years I worked as an acquaintance rape workshop facilitator, which made me a counselor and a sounding board for more women than I can remember, since 1 in 4 women are sexually assaulted by the time they leave college, and make that number 1 in 3 women over the course of their lives. Women like your sister, your mother, your daughter, just to name a few in our society. But the thing is, in our society, all women have been raped when men rape women with their eyes, their laws, and their codes. Because women have been denied inclusion in society, we have been denied our history, which denies us our present and even a real future. We can carefully chronicle this history of oppression and seclusion and exclusion And we can praise the strides we've made despite these man-made barricades that permeate every aspect of our female lives, while remembering the strides we still must make against all odds. Because we're strong creatures, you know, smiling demurely while we take care of others and while getting ahead ourselves. It's a tough job, but we've known that all along, and we've taken it on without batting an eyelash, with or without eye makeup. And whether or not we're reminded regularly of all that we fight against in our battle to be good, we feel all these things men have historically imposed upon us, whether or not they're told. All these obstacles are told to us subliminally, and we're always permanently burned into the backs of our brains. And we still seem to do well, despite these pains you may ingrain in us. So just realize that if you ever notice how well any woman has done, know that everything was accomplished despite the big bully in the same room, always breathing over our shoulders. For all that hot air breathing down by man, it reminds us that we can and will defeat Goliath. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was enough for an issue because I usually do 10 to 20 minute readings. I hope you enjoy these readings from cc&d, the What He's Trying to Paint new book, November 2020 from cc&d. I hope you enjoy it. I will be back very shortly with another reading during this time in honor of community poetry, and thank you very much. Thank you.